and you ain't heard about us yet, well, you better know now because it's the place that it all goes down.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode or edition of the TWSN Soccer Sitdown Show. I'm Joe Cammarota, joined with Christian DeBlock and Max Marrero. So today we're going to talk a little bit about Chelsea and City's game this morning, then touch on Ole and his kind of bad run of form right now. They're in a weird place. They just dropped out of another competition, so we're going to have to talk about that. Then finally, we'll probably wrap up with the North London Derby, and then if we have some time, we don't know if we'll have the time, we'll maybe touch on Barcelona. So let's start off. I'll kick it to Max to start. How about that game? Great game for City in general. I thought they played really well. But before I get into my thoughts, let's kick it to you, man.
Yeah, so honestly, dominant performance from start to finish from Manchester City. I think finally Pep got one over Tuchel, not only in the results column, but in terms of tactics. I think Tuchel was overthinking this game by playing everyone on their own defensive side. It was pretty much a park the bus affair for Chelsea today. And they have the attacking prowess to go and compete with City, but I just think that, Tuchel was probably overthinking this one. But listen, if there's one for them to overthink, it's this early in the season. As a City fan, I'm excited from a psychological perspective. City knows they can go and beat Tuchel's Chelsea now because you know that later on down the road, they're going to be right there in the thick of things for the title. So this was huge for City to get that psychological win. And also the result, of course. City had 15 shots on target, 5 shots on goal, but 15 shots total, and they were all pretty solid. So, you can see that City were clearly dominating that game. City could have been, frankly, at least three up if it wasn't for two really, really good Edouard Mendy saves, especially one against Jack Grealish, in a one-on-one. But credit has to go to City. As a City fan, I'm ecstatic. But at the same time, this does not change the way I look at Chelsea. I think Chelsea's a very, 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 very good team. I think they're going to be in the thick of things in the title challenge. And I understand it's early in the season. But also, I want to point out one more thing, and that is I've said this on this show. Liverpool will be competing for this title. They are a very good side. I have them finished second in my predictions. But right now, City and them are tied for first in the Prem. So, credit to Liverpool.
Want me to go, Joe?
Yeah, you go, Christian.
Yeah, no, I agree with Max. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, so I'm looking at what I've seen on Twitter and some highlights, and I completely agree with Max. 1.45 expected G for Man City and only 0.22 for Chelsea. And that's at home. So, we're talking about a very important performance for City. And I think, last week against Southampton, it was pretty poor. I would believe Max would agree on that. It was just not a good enough performance in terms of, City in front of net.
The Southampton game, right?
Yeah, the Southampton match. And it's funny because last season, the game that really changed things for City was the Chelsea match at Stamford Bridge. And this, of course, that came a lot later in the season. I believe it was in January. Yeah. But, City were not playing with the striker at that point last season, went to Stamford Bridge. And that was at the end of Lampard's tenure, so it was a very different Chelsea side. But City went there, got the victory, and were off to the races and ended up winning the title. So, this is match week 6. Max is right. It doesn't change the, speculation on what Chelsea can do because Chelsea are still a fantastic side, great defensively. They have their striker now, but they play a little bit differently now than they did last season. They were really counterattack heavy. That was how they really beat teams. And, now they play a little bit differently with Lukaku, who's, you're not typical striker in this era, but in any other era, he'd be, the guy that they're using to get guys in behind with guys like Timo Werner, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, because he's, such a strong striker. But they play a little bit differently. And I think, Chelsea at times could be torn between whether or not they want to play with Lukaku's skill set or, play a little more like defensively and then go and counter. So, it's an interesting dynamic. It's a game that, Manchester City really needed more than Chelsea in my eyes, just because of a couple bad run of games for City. Not particularly just because of a couple bad performances. The Southampton one is just the one that speaks volumes, but it's a great title race. We have 3 teams right now on 13 points. Of course, Liverpool has a game in hand, which they'll play later today. But man, we got a title race, and I can guarantee both Manchester City and Chelsea are right there for it.
Can I just mention one thing very briefly, Joe? Similar to what Christian was just saying earlier, the significance of the win on paper really, I mean, it's a good win, of course, beating Chelsea and Stamford Bridge. It's very hard to do for anybody, but again, it's early on in the season. But the psychological significance of this win, and I'm going to make another reference. Yes, the Stamford Bridge last year was a big one for City, but I think the biggest win for City really was, for me, in my opinion, beating Liverpool and Anfield, because the significance of that game on paper really wasn't there. But City historically is horrible at Anfield. And the reason why I bring up that win is because after that, you saw the confidence that they had, and they took it into the Champions League to make it to the Champions League final, to go on and win the Premier League and do what they did. And I think this win has a very similar type of feeling to it, in the sense that Pep City hasn't beat, Tuchel's Chelsea yet. And this was a bogey team for City. And going into Stamford Bridge and doing what they did and playing the way they did is going to give them the confidence moving forward, because like you said, Chelsea will be involved in this. Chelsea and City will continue to fight out for all of the trophies this year, including in Europe. So having that psychological edge, this team now knows that if they have to play Chelsea again, or if they have to do something big, they can use that momentum. They can play and show up to the big games. And that, you cannot quantify how important that is.
Yeah, and I thought my biggest takeaway, and Max, I'd like to get your thoughts on this, was that I think Pep outclassed Tuchel in this game. I think Tuchel sat back. I think he expected this to be a little bit like the Champions League final. His idea was to take pressure on. I mean, we know Tuchel does this often. He takes pressure on, try to beat him on the counter, but it really didn't feel like they were really going all out on the attack. They were really trying to do only counters until they went down. And I think that was
Right.
I think Pep saw that right from the jump, and it was like, we're not going to let you do that. They had a DM this time. They didn't try to go all out attack to get the goal. And maybe the reason for that is that it's a longer season, and it wasn't a one-off game where you need a goal to win. And that's
Right.
why, and just like the Champions League finals, is just a one-off. Obviously this is a one game, but it's one game in a 38-game season. And it just felt like Tuchel, like, I haven't seen a game where I was like, damn, Chelsea really looked tactically outclassed until today. And I don't know if you felt the same way.
I 100% felt the same way. And I think it's a credit to Pep not overthinking it. Don't overthink it against this side. He understands what Chelsea brings. He respects Chelsea enough to understand that they're a genuine threat on the counter. But also, I think the credit really has to go to the players today, because that work rate from the players, especially towards that end of the game where Chelsea looked like they were getting a few chances on goal to try to equalize. Ruben Diaz not letting Romelu Lukaku get a sight of the ball. Rodri clearing the ball every single time it was put in the final third for Chelsea. That to me speaks levels to how much these players wanted to win this game. And yes, that's credit to the manager, because the manager instills that, but that's on the players themselves for execution. And I think the players honestly deserve the credit more than the manager, but that's not to take any credit away from the manager. So I would agree.
I would also, I'm not sure, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, there we go. I think Lukaku shouldn't have played today. I don't think he fit the team that Tuchel's going for.
Werner plays better. Werner plays exactly how
if you're
Chelsea.
playing this counter attack, like we're literally going to sit in pressure and only go forward on counters. I would have went Mount, Kai, and.
So I think Mount wasn't available though.
Mount wasn't.
I saw him in street
Pulisic isn't
clothes.
available either right now, right?
Who'd you say?
Pulisic isn't available yet either.
No.
I just feel like this isn't a game for Lukaku. If you're going to sit back like that and try to win on counter, like, the man looks so goofy with the ball on his feet. Like, I know it's like a joke, but he really looks like he's playing in jeans. Like, he's trying to get out on a counterattack. It just doesn't look fluid at all. He's great when he could get, like, take the Arsenal game, for example, his debut. Chelsea applied pressure that game. They did what they needed to do because they knew Arsenal wasn't going to be able to take that pressure. They knew that Arsenal wasn't going to be able to attack even if they went up. And that's a great place for Lukaku to eat. I thought Lukaku looked a lot better towards the end of the game when Chelsea was chasing the goal and they went more on the attack. But I don't really see the purpose of Lukaku starting when you're just going to be sitting back and you need to 1-2 passes off on a breakaway. Like, to me, it just didn't make sense for me. I mean, that's just not Lukaku.
That's not Lukaku, and Lukaku benefits when he has players, providing chances for him because that's what he's best at. He's best at finishing half chances. He's clinical in front of goal. So when Chelsea is not playing like that, like you're saying, and they're playing counterattacking, and they need to create chances out of thin air, Lukaku really isn't the guy to do it. Now, a lot of it is I think Lukaku could have played better. I think City's defense did a really good job in containing Lukaku, and I think that was a big part of it too. And also just when we're on the topic of rating players, I think there's one player I want to mention, and I've mentioned this a few times in the show. Gabby Jesus has finally showed up. Guys, and a lot of it is he's thriving in this new position out wide on the right. This is his natural position. He's putting away chances like he should be, but at the same time, he's contributing to the overall creativity of the game. He's providing chances. He's making the right runs in the right channels. This is his natural position, and I think you have to give credit to Pep for finally finding him his spot on this team. And I think, look, City really need to reevaluate their striker situation in the sense that maybe, again, I don't want to be naive, but maybe they don't really have too much to worry about. Listen, Phil Foden had a decent game today playing as a false nine. I think Ferran Torres has had a really good year so far.
I like him more at the false nine than Foden, personally.
I completely agree. I
still think you need a true number 9 for other, like, I think they got lucky today, but when, like, look at this.
I don't know if lucky is the word I'd use.
But I don't know, like, when teams sit back, like Spurs, maybe Spurs are just becoming a bogey team for City. In the fact,
I would even go as far to say they already are.
They are, especially away at Spurs.
Like that's a game where you feel like you need a striker, and then there's games like today where it almost feels like you should have had a striker too, but Jesus was able to put one in. I don't know how to explain it.
I'm just saying. I agree that I think we need to add a striker. I'm just saying, at least a backup. But I'm just saying, like, spending 150 mil for Harry Kane. I'm so glad we didn't do it. I'm so glad we didn't do it.
Jackie Grealish, how about him, man?
People don't want to talk about how well he's been playing. He's been playing very well, man. Very well.
He's been great. Like today, I thought he looked pretty good today. Some people said he didn't. I thought he did.
He almost scored twice.
Yeah. And that Mendy save. Mendy's insane. Like
Mendy's an incredibly underrated goalkeeper. Yeah.
He's top 3 in the Prem right now. But I'm going to look. Just a quick side note: top 3 keepers in the Prem right now. Who do you got?
I think Ederson, Alisson, and Mendy. Not in any particular order, but I think it has to be those 3.
Ederson, Marie, Mendy.
Okay.
I throw on the replay.
So if Andre Onana knocks on the door, you're not going to let him in?
Oh, absolutely. I want him.
Okay. As a replacement, right?
Ramsdale has looked decent for Arsenal, and I'm very surprised.
We'll touch on him later, though.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. I didn't think that was going to work out. Only been 2 games or 3 games, but anything else we want to touch on the City Chelsea, or should we move on?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, so Ole and United, they just got bounced from the Carabao Cup to West Ham. Another competition that they don't win, which is becoming a theme for United. But Carabao Cup at the same time, you can say it's really not that important. But on the flip side, this is, like I said, this is becoming a theme for them. They're not going to win the Premier League this year. They just lost to Aston Villa at home, which was shocking. What do we think of Ole? When is enough? And Christian, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I actually got a chance to watch that entire West Ham United game on, I believe it was Wednesday, midweek though, and it was changed lineups for both teams. You didn't see a lot of the main guys from either squad, but West Ham were better at the start, and that's part of the problem I think we see in every competition for United, especially this season. They're getting off to really slow starts. It's just not good enough. It was just a really good run from Ryan Fredericks, and then he found Lanzini in the middle, and it was a tap-in, and that was it. They didn't bring a ton of their main guys, but they were still there. Sancho was on the field. I believe Jesse Lingard was on the pitch. There was a lot of other guys who are part of their best 11 that were available and just weren't good enough. So obviously today we didn't get a chance to watch it either. I don't know if either of you did. I'm sure you guys were more focused on what was going on at Stamford Bridge, but
That's all the end.
yeah. And we touched me and Joe were talking about it before. Bruno missed a penalty, and it's just going to create so much it's going to create so much chaos in the media, because the question is,
we talked about this on the show, who should take the pens,
right? And I believe we all said Bruno,
right? I think so.
And it was, okay, it's one penalty. I'm not going to put it on him, but obviously we don't know much about the performance otherwise. But even against West Ham last weekend in the Premier League, I didn't think it was particularly great either. And I'm one of those guys who believed it should not have been Mark Noble who came on extremely cold and taken a penalty to earn a much-needed draw for West Ham, who's looking to fight for Europe again. It probably should have been Declan Rice in my eyes, but that's a topic for another day. But it's getting really ugly for Ole, which is funny enough because I said it before with Joe. They're tied. They're equal on points at the top right now. Of course, still a game in hand with Liverpool, which could change things. But it's 6 games into the season, but a bad performance against Young Boys in the Champions League. There's been a lot of bad performances overall. So on the eye, it looks like Ole should have his job on watch. But then again, the points tally right now isn't that bad. So I don't know. I'm torn. He's not good enough to win a title in the Premier League. Let's put it that way. But I don't know if they're willing to sack him at this point.
I mean, this happens every year. This literally happens every single year. United have a bad run of form. Comes in, they're going to sack Ole out, and then
it's the same story every year.
10 straight. It's insane.
Listen, he's not good enough to be the manager of Manchester United Football Club, and I've been saying this for a long time. He's not good enough because let's see. Let's look at his most recent run of form for let's say the past 2 weeks. You have losses to Young Boys in the Champions League. You should have lost to West Ham, you should have drawn with West Ham in the Premier League. But they had a nice save, to give him credit. And also, I don't know what David Moyes was thinking, subbing on Mark Noble in the 96th minute to take a penalty. I don't think that tactics ever worked. So that was stupid on his part. Then they lose to West Ham. Okay, albeit Carabao Cup, but still, I mean, that's one less competition they can win a trophy, right? So that's a big loss, in my opinion. And then they go on and lose to Aston Villa. Listen, this guy is getting outclassed by significantly inferior opposition. There's no excuse anymore. I don't care if your midfield, Fred's iffy in the midfield. You have Cristiano Ronaldo. You have Jadon Sancho. You have Rafael Varane. There's no excuse anymore. The expectation is to go on and win as many games as you can and compete for titles and ultimately win a trophy this year. And I'm not going to rule them out from winning a trophy this year because I think they have a very, very good team. But I think they have to, listen, and I'm, as a City fan, I'm satisfied with Ole being there, to be honest with you, because I think they're going to underachieve with Ole being there. But let me tell you guys something. They should take a page out of Chelsea's book. They should sack the manager, bring in Antonio Conte midseason, and I think you're going to get results if you do that. I think you're going to get results. He's going to completely, you have the personnel. It's not a question of the personnel. It's a question of the tactical direction and getting the best out of the players. And I think Conte, if you put Conte in there, he's a serial winner. He knows how to manage personalities. He's going to change the shape, and they're going to win games. They're going to win games. So I think if United want to go on and be serious as winners this year, that's the approach they need to take. Because I don't think Ole is it. I don't think Ole is good enough to be the manager of that football club.
Like, my concern is at some point they're gonna get out of the group, right? I mean, they're gonna get.
You would assume they would. Yeah.
League, right. They'll probably win round of 16. Maybe they make it to the quarters, but then they're gonna run into someone. They're gonna run into some team with a great manager, and they're gonna get bamboozled because I mean we've seen it time and time again. Anytime, unless it's Pep for some reason, which again I don't understand that, but.
He needs to learn at some point, Joe. He's going to learn at some point.
If he runs into Tuchel in the Champions League, it's rash for him. I'm sorry. It's just rash for that team. I don't think at all. I don't think he has a chance there.
I'd even say Jurgen Klopp, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think if they run into Liverpool.
I think he could beat Nagelsmann. I mean, Bayern's a great team, but I just feel like he runs such a high line. I think that actually suits the United team kind of well.
Yeah, Bayern are really poor defensively, especially when their high line is getting stretched. But then again, Bayern's Bayern, and if they have, I think the biggest thing with Bayern is Lewandowski was hurt last season, and it killed them because if he was available, I believe they would have probably got past PSG, who I believe eliminated them. But
PSG would smoke United, by the way.
Nagelsmann leaves them exposed. That's their biggest issue. But they have the firepower to beat anybody going forward.
I'm not gonna rule out Bayern. I think those are fair concerns.
No
but
way.
the thing is, I think they're the type of team that likes to pick up form at the right time, and they just completely. Albeit, I understand it's Barcelona. Barcelona has their own problems, and I'm sure we'll touch on that very briefly later. But they outclass Barcelona to such an extent that you just cannot rule them out. You just can't rule them out in anything. So I understand the concerns, though.
Barcelona's flooded right now.
That's
man.
true.
We know.
That's true.
I mean, honestly, let's talk about that real quick. Let's pivot to that.
Okay.
I mean, that team, their fall off. They're seventh in La Liga, and they don't look like they're going to be able to push for Champions League, man. They just don't.
Yeah, I watched.
I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I'm excited for Ansu Fati to be back. I think that is huge for them. But defensively, they're not very good. Ter Stegen is not very good anymore. Up front, they're not very good.
Memphis Depay is their saving grace, but and I think he's been their best player this year so far. To be honest with you,
In the midfield, they have De Jong, who I like.
De Jong's very good.
Pedri.
Yeah.
There's good personnel in some spots, but the biggest thing that I've watched when I've seen them is the fact that Luke De Jong is their second striker next to Depay, who is basically been a super sub throughout his career. That was what he was last year with Sevilla. I'm not sure who he was employed by previously, but it's just not good enough. And they're missing guys like Joe mentioned, Ansu Fati. He'll change things. Ousmane Dembele should change things when he's healthy, if he can stay healthy. But they're employing Felipe Coutinho off the bench, and no discredit to him, he was great years ago. But it's just not. He's not at the level of what Barcelona should be at this stage of his career. In all honesty,
has Aguero even been able to be registered yet? Have they registered Aguero yet?
Yes, he got registered because I believe PK took a pay cut, Jordi Alba took a pay cut, and I think Busquets took a pay cut. So that's why. But he's hurt, so it's not like he can even play.
Listen.
Yeah,
you're gonna see this trend continue for Barca for a little bit because they have so much. They're in so much financial debt. They're gonna need to alleviate the wage bill. And how do you do that? It's by bringing in guys like Luke De Jong, who's not gonna make too much, who's not good enough to play for Barca because world-class players want world-class wages. And unfortunately, Barca are in a position right now that they can't afford to give world-class wages to players. They just can't. That's why they offset Griezmann. And they're only going to make it's a loan to buy for 40 mil when they just bought him for almost 100 mil more. I mean, there's a reason why they're doing that. He doesn't fit the team too well, but at the same time, they're offsetting those wages. You're going to start seeing more and more in that. They're $1 billion in debt. They need to get players off the wage bill. So I think Barcelona is in a really rough spot. I think we're going to see, I think results on the pitch are going to inevitably improve at some point, even under Koeman. I just think this is a rough patch of form for them. But I think we're going to see an AC Milan type situation for Barcelona in the sense that I just don't think they're going to be in contention for major trophies for a long time. And a lot of it is because of their financial situation and their inability. Because listen, Barcelona is the second biggest club in the world besides Madrid, in my opinion. And I think that when it comes to appealing to players, it's not hard to get, players to want to play for Barcelona. So it's not an issue of recruitment. It's an issue of literally not being able to afford players. And I think that we're going to continue to see this trend for at least the next 4 years, maybe 5. So I don't know, man. It's not looking good for them.
Man, I think another problem is they just don't have a good manager.
Yes.
Koeman is just not a good manager. And I feel like sometimes a good manager is going to alleviate that. I mean, if you look at Spurs, for the longest time, they were not spending money. Yet Pochettino was able to get them top 4 for the longest time. Koeman's not that good. I really think they should go after Ten Hag. They're not going to be able to afford Conte.
I think they're going to go after Xavi.
Really, I don't like that.
Yeah, he's expressed the desire to manage his former club. So
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see that. I mean, I don't know if he's tactically the best answer compared to like a Ten Hag, but I just think
Ole move though. That feels like an Ole Lampard move, which is not going to work out.
Maybe.
That's what.
But I think you're in such a dire situation that if you can bring on a former player that knows the culture of Barcelona, that knows how to win with Barcelona, that has positive tactics that are entertaining, and he has a lot of potential, I think you have nothing to lose by bringing him in. It's not like United where you're like, okay, you have a solid team, you have expectations. Literally, no one has expectations for Barcelona this year. So I think if it makes sense to bring in a former player, and listen, the sky's the limit. But if he underachieves, then you just move on because the team as a whole is not where you want it to be.
I think the move is to bring in a developmental coach, and I don't know, maybe Xavi's that, but someone who's really, really good at developing young players. Because I mean, that's what you got to look for if you're Barcelona.
Yeah.
Develop the academy, bring players up like that. Because I mean, they're not going to be able to get big players. I mean, maybe they try to make a move for Haaland next year. I don't.
They can't afford.
Why would he go there?
I think Haaland's going to – I think again, I've told you this. I think Haaland and Mbappe are going to Real Madrid. I think they're both of them are going to Real Madrid. That's my prediction. I think Mbappe leaves on a free.
Florian Perez is just insane. I don't understand how this man has no money yet can bid $200 million on Mbappe. It just doesn't make sense. He's insane. I wish he's got to be one of the best owners in club soccer. He has to.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
listen, questionable personality, but he does get the results.
Yeah, he gets the job done.
He does.
I mean, but going back to Barcelona, I mean, I think you're right here. I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like, if you're them, like, there's just nothing good that you have to look forward to. I guess Ansu Fati, but like, you're not going to make Champions League, right? They have a few decent young players, but like De Jong, he's on probably insane. I don't know the exact wages for De Jong.
I think they'll sell him. I think they have to sell him at some point because
that's what I'm saying. Like, you can develop these players, but if you have no money, how are you going to keep them?
Right.
And then that kind of leads you into a place where you're just consistently not going to be good. And I mean, as Barcelona, they should be able to make money back sooner rather than later, just because shirt sales, ticket sales. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world. But I do think, I think we're seeing the impact of Messi though right now, what he had on that team. I mean, obviously we all know Messi's one of, if not the greatest player of all time, but he was single-handedly getting them top four, and now they look lost.
Well, even Koeman admitted it the other day. He said, Messi patched all of our holes. And now that Messi's gone, they're exposed. So I completely agree with that.
Gosh, I see. I always liked Barcelona. This hurts. This hurts a little bit, man. This hurts. But I guess we'll move on from this topic. We'll go to the North London Derby. Two trash clubs playing each other at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday. This is going to be a barn burner, folks, at the Emirates. So I'll just give you my prediction right now, and then we'll kind of go into a little bit like a breakdown. I got Arsenal winning this game. What do you guys got?
Oh, I don't know.
I think Tottenham are going to get it done.
I don't think Tottenham goes into Emirates and wins.
They don't win at the Emirates. They don't win there. So
I think at best for Spurs, best case scenario, something like a 2-2 draw. But I'm feeling 2-1 Arsenal. Off instant reaction.
I just hate picking this game because it's like either one is capable of either like having a solid game or just absolutely bottling it. It could be like an entertaining game or like the worst game of soccer you ever watched in your life. So like I just don't. I mean, I say Tottenham only because I think they're still the better team, but like
but
they're not in better form right now.
Who's the better manager, Nuno Arteta?
Oh God.
I
think the assistant managers. I don't know.
Spurs could have had X Graham, bro. They could have had it.
Brighton power, bro. Brighton this year, huh?
They can go top of the league.
Are they playing right now?
Let me see.
No.
By the way, can I say
No,
something
no.
really quickly? If you guys haven't seen the scores right now, Burnley's beating Leicester City. Leicester City's in the mud this year.
Vardy own goal, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Really? Dude,
Yeah.
what's going on with them?
Telling you,
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers is not that guy. I'm sorry, he's just not.
Wow.
I've been pushing this for 2.5 years now. Every year they look good and then they bottle it. They're sick of him. They gotta sack him. He's not that.
Well, they just lost to Brighton. Now they may lose to Burnley. I mean, come
I
on.
mean, Brighton's good though.
At home too.
Yeah. Brighton, yeah, but Joe, come on. If you're Leicester City, you have to be Brighton. Come on.
Brighton's finishing top 4, man.
Is this another one of your wild
Yeah,
predictions?
this is one of Joe's hot takes.
No, that's kind of a joke, but it's not gonna lie. I think they can finish in Europe. I really think.
It's just I don't know if they have the depth to do this throughout the season. I really want them to, but
That would be
I don't know.
that would be an incredible story. But
they got one of the best managers in the league.
I agree with that.
yeah,
Potter's insane, man. I would do so much for him. I will start a GoFundMe. Get him at Spurs. Get him at Spurs. But I mean, speaking of Arteta, real quick, going back to North London Derby, I think a big fact. I think he saved his job with those past 2 games. Remember how we were talking about Arteta might get sacked soon? I think he saved his job, and I think they've made really good moves. I'm sorry, we were joking about it earlier this summer and early this year. I think they made good moves in the transfer market. Other than Ramsdale, I'm sorry, I don't buy this run of form. I don't think he's that good. That was against Norwich and Burnley, 2 unthreatening attacking teams. I think he'll get exposed later on. But Tomiyasu, I think he's a stud. I wanted him at Spurs. He's going to be a great right back. He's so much better than Bellerin. So much better than Bellerin. He's better than that guy Emerson Royale for Spurs. I think Spurs went for the wrong player. I really can't hate on the moves. When is Ben White back yet?
yes. Ben White and Gabriel started. I just looked at the lineup. They played against Burnley together.
I think we can see them start to make noise. I don't know if they finish top 6. I don't, maybe 7.
Arsenal making noise. Listen, respectfully, I'd want to see it before I say that.
Yeah.
I want to see that they can consistently go on a run of form before I can say that.
I think this is going to be a big game for both teams.
Absolutely, yeah. That always is.
I mean, I think it's good for Spurs to see Ndombele back. I think we saw glimpses of a possibility of an attacking Tottenham versus Chelsea. I mean, if you watch that first half, Spurs looked pretty good. They just ran into Tuchel ball, who plays some of the worst soccer I've seen in my entire life. It's worse than Jose.
Let me ask you guys this really quickly. If you guys are interested, do you guys want to maybe do Champions League predictions?
Yeah. The groups or?
Well, I'm saying in the sense that we have midweek this week, and I feel like, it's maybe worth just discussing very briefly if you guys are interested.
Yeah, sure. I'm down.
Okay.
You want to start off?
Yeah. So I was thinking, so we have a few good games, right? So we have Milan, Atletico Madrid, PSG, Man City, Porto, Liverpool. I would say Wolfsburg and Sevilla is a solid one. And then you have Chelsea and Juve. I mean, Man United and Villarreal rematch. I mean, we got a pretty good slate of games this week. So if you want to, I guess we could talk about PSG, Man City. That's the biggest one of the week.
That's going to be fun. I mean,
what do you guys think?
I want to see how bad Messi's injury is, because he's not in the game. That'll stink. But I think Neymar's been playing a little bit better this year. I think he's looked good. Pochettino versus Pep will be fun. I've always liked those matchups.
Yeah.
Where's that? Is it in?
It's in Paris.
It's in Paris, yeah.
I think I'm gonna go PSG. They look good. I mean, I think they're 6 for 6 so far this season. They played Messi and only
7 for 7.
7 for 7. I mean, Poch was getting a lot of crap on Twitter, but he knows what he's doing. He's doing a really good job at PSG, and I think that'll hold. I think he's gonna get the win.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is they did draw against Club Brugge in their first match, and I think Club Brugge are a nice side. They're not particularly talented in terms of the level. Of course, they're not at the level of Manchester City or PSG, but that's not a great result. Whether you're
No, but everyone's still gelling over there. They're still trying to make.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's going to
take it very, very slow with his incorporation of everyone into that team. Like extremely slow, slower than I would.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I think it could be a classic. And we don't get many classics in the group stages. Typically, you wait till the knockout stages to find those. But this is going to be a good one. I think we're going to see a lot of goals. It could also be really tight in terms of defensive structure from both of these teams. But I could see both teams scoring a ton of goals. I think it's going to be. I have a feeling City's going to go there and win. I got something tells me they're going to go and win there. But
this win against Chelsea is huge. This win against Chelsea is huge for morale.
I don't. Yeah, it can't be understated. It's a win that speaks so many volumes. It's a huge win.
I mean, I honestly, I'm superstitious, so I'm going to refrain from giving an honest or my prediction here, but I'm going to tell you how I think this game's going to go. At least, I think, like you said, Christian, I think this is going to be a really, really good game. I think it's going to be borderline classic. I think both teams are going to be on the score sheet. To be honest with you, with Messi or without Messi, I mean, PSG have improved. PSG have a message to send to City for knocking them out of the semifinals last year. It's another underlying theme of this one. And especially after that result against Club Brugge, I think the team and the manager are raring to go and prove that they're, legitimate contenders for the Champions League this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if this goes, PSG's way. But at the same time, I can say that I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the City's way because, like you guys said, the Chelsea win is a huge one. City are riding a ton of momentum right now, and the side has looked good. Yeah, they drew against Southampton, but that to me was an outlier. I think they've looked good throughout the year. And listen, Gabi Jesus, I can't speak highly enough of the way he's been playing on the right. Jack Grealish has settled so well in the team on the left. And I think if you put Ferran Torres up there as a false nine, I think those three, it may not be the most glamorous front three in the world, but they get the job done. At the end of the day, they get the job done. So I'm interested to see for PSG, what players are in, what players are out, what the goalkeeping situation is. I'm assuming Keylor Navas will still be the goalkeeper, but it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
And then if you want, we could touch on. I'm thinking, you guys want to talk Juve Chelsea?
Yeah, let's do that because Juve has been terrible.
Yeah.
I think
what do you guys think?
Back.
Yeah, I've watched a few of Juve's games in the league, and it's just, again, it's not really Allegri's fault. I think it's really just down to their lack of attacking talent more than anything else. They barely snuck by Spezia. I forget what day that was. It was in the last match week, but I know Joe loves Moise Kean, but it's just he's not at the level right now, and I don't know if that's certainly down to his fault, just because he hasn't played a lot of football, which is not necessarily on him, but their main guy is Federico Chiesa. If he's playing well, they can figure it out. And he had a man of the match performance in their last match in the league, but they're sitting in 12th right now in Serie A. And while Chelsea were really poor today, I think they have enough to keep a clean sheet at the back potentially and score the goals because they're changing their back four. You've seen a good mixture of De Ligt, Bonucci, and Chiellini. We'll see what they do with that, but I think they'll figure it out enough to sneak by a win. But then again, which I'm interested to see what you guys think. Chelsea weren't particularly great against Zenit in their first game of the group either, barely sneaking by thanks to a Lukaku goal. So neither team's really in the best of form, at least of what we've seen over the last week and a half. But it could go either way. I'm going to stay with Chelsea though in like a 1-0 victory, but it could go the other way.
Yeah. I don't think this goes either way. I'm sorry. I think Chelsea dominates this game. I have no belief that Juve could break down Tuchel's Blues. I just don't think that's going to happen. And I think you're going to see Lukaku playing against the Serie A team again. I think he'll look good. I just don't think Juve is good. I don't think they finish in Europe, like at all.
No, I don't either.
Not champ.
Maybe Europa League.
Not Europa League, and not
I think
Conference League.
I think Chelsea right now are like, you could argue they're definitely top 5, if not top 3 team in the world right now.
Even
And I
after
just think,
yeah.
even after today, I think today you shouldn't temper expectations with Chelsea after one loss. And I think they're still top 3 team, and you expect them to get a result against this Juventus team that is a shell of what they used to be. And I think this is frankly a rebuilding year for them. You lose Ronaldo at the start of the season. That's a big loss psychologically for the whole side, and the team is still trying to. I don't know. I think the manager, I think Allegri's still trying to find his best starting 11. And I think, he's at a patch right now where he's just, there's a lot of inconsistency between the tactics, the players, and just the motivation. And I think they'll eventually bounce back. I think they're a big enough club to do that. But I think Chelsea's playing them at a very, very good time.
Agreed.
Some of the other ones, I guess, if you guys want to keep going, we could talk Man United Villarreal. That's a rematch of the
rematch.
final.
I
have to go United here, probably. Excuse me. I think I have to go United here because A, it's the rematch. B, Cristiano Ronaldo effect in the Champions League. You expect them, and also coming off the loss to young boys, in the earlier in the group stage. I think you have to say Manchester United here, and I think Ronaldo is going to at least score 2 goals.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they come back. Again, we all know how United work. They have a 2 or 3 games where they just look terrible, and then they come out and they play well. This is the game they come back. It's a revenge game. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I got 3-1. 3-1's my with a goal from Bruno and 2 from Ronaldo.
Yeah, I agree. Villarreal is actually 12th in La Liga right now, and they've only picked up 7 points in 5 games, so not good. I think, Manchester United will figure it out.
And then if you want, Christian, we can talk about Porto and Liverpool, your expectations for that one.
Yeah, sorry. I'm dealing with some health problems here with my coughing. I think we've had Porto. Oh, my God. Excuse me. Holy crap. You can go first on that because I'm
okay. Yeah, you're good. You're good. I was gonna say I think Porto are a pretty solid side. I think they're a side that's capable of getting a point from, or getting a shock point from a lot of sides. I think we saw that for the past 2 years that they've been back in the Champions League. So I think Liverpool are in for a tough one, but I think at the end of the day, Liverpool are a better side. I think Liverpool should win that game, and I'm going to give it maybe 2-1 Liverpool.
Joe, what do you think?
I've been wrong about Liverpool. I thought, last year was the beginning of the end for them, but they've just been inevitable. They know what they're doing. I got them winning this game. I don't think Porto. I don't think Porto score 2-0. Salah.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Liverpool is team selection because we're still missing some guys in the midfield. Harvey Elliott, of course, got hurt against Leeds. Thiago's not available for tonight's game at Brentford. I don't even believe Naby Keita will be available either. So, but then again, with Virgil van Dijk at the back, things are completely different as we've seen. Konate's looked pretty comfortable in his first couple matches. So it's an interesting dynamic. I think Porto are, a quality side. They've been, a consistent team who's made the Champions League year in, year out from the Portuguese league, but Liverpool should be able to go on the road and get 3 points, and I expect that. So not a crazy victory. I don't think they'll go in there and score 3-4 goals, but I think, a comfortable 2-0 victory is where I see it.
And then if you guys want to touch on one more that I think is worth talking about is Atletico Madrid against AC Milan. Obviously you have AC Milan coming off a heartbreaking loss to Liverpool. Jordan Henderson scored an absolute banger. I'm sure Christian celebrated. That's probably where the cough came from, guys. Probably celebrating that goal. And then Atletico Madrid against Porto, that ended up being a draw. Honestly, they almost lost that game, but the goal was called back off a defensive error. But I think it's set. I think it's going to be a good one. I mean, these are two very, very competent sides. I'm leaning Atleti personally here. I think Atleti are the better team, but what do you guys think?
I got AC Milan here. I think they come back. And I mean, Atletico just dropped points today in La Liga.
Yeah.
I think AC Milan on the up and up, and I don't know. I think they have something to prove after playing Liverpool so well, just to lose on a wonder goal almost.
Yeah, I think, if there's a guy we need to mention for this Milan team, and I've been absolutely impressed by him, it's Brahim Diaz. My goodness, what a player. 22 years old. He was dynamic in that, that patch of play where they were really threatening going forward against Liverpool last week. They just won 2-0 in their last league match. And like Joe mentioned, a loss for Atletico Madrid in the league today. So I think, and Max is right, the more talented team, of course, is Atletico Madrid. I think Atletico Madrid is one of the most talented teams in Europe. That second tier alongside, the likes of some of these other teams. But I think, Milan's better form right now. They're second in Serie A as things stand. I'm going to give a slight edge at home to Milan, but I could definitely see Atletico Madrid going there and getting a draw.
I love the shout out for Brahim Diaz. I mean, as a City fan, seeing him coming up from the academy, he was a pretty good player. I'm glad that he's finally starting to find his potential. Obviously, he's on loan from Real Madrid, so I mean, if he keeps playing like that, it's a heck of a player that's going back to Madrid. I think he's on a 2-year, so the year after next.
Yeah, and I think that'll wrap it up for us today. I mean, that's all we got here today. Sorry, there's still not too much going on really right now. So, but make sure you guys tune into the TWSN Tailgate Show at 11 o'clock. And that will do it for us. So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Get up, let me begin. This is TWS.